This week on Miss Leonard's Half Day Thoughts, we are going to be talking about the individual versus the system, or in this case, society. So let's first define these two terms. We have individual, which means the singular person, in my case, me, and in your case, you. The individual is able to think for themselves, has their own individual experiences and thoughts, and can control two things, their thoughts and their actions. The system, in our case society, is the larger community as a whole. The system that we can talk about is in the government, it could be in your community, it could be in our class, or it could be in American culture in general. That is the system. In this video though, we're talking about society being our system. Okay, so when we talk about society, there are two important ideas that we need to talk about. First, in and out groups, and then we need to talk about assimilation versus segregation. So, when we are looking at society as a whole, our brains have been made to create what's called in and out groups. Society trains you to be aware of what people are in the out group and what people are in the in group. The reason why our brains do that is because when we were all the way back in ancient times, way before writing or anything like that, you needed to very quickly be able to tell who your friends were and who the people that were going to come and take your food. So we developed this system in our brain of being able to say, this person looks different from me and I'm uncomfortable with that, and because I don't know whether or not they're attacking me, they are now bad. But the people that look like me are good because they're like me, so they're familiar and I know they're not going to hurt me. So an example of in and out groups were that when I was in high school, I was kind of the artsy-fartsy kid, wore a lot of tie-dye and Birkenstocks, so my in-group were other people that dressed very similarly, hence why all my friends also wore Birkenstocks and tie-dye. But if you're wearing like Patriots jerseys and like sweatpants, they were in my out group because they didn't look like me unless I was in basketball season and then we got along. The other thing that I want you guys to think about is another word for in and out groups that is used more commonly are cliques. And if you want a better example of what cliques are and in and outs, you are going to now go watch the movie Mean Girls. So, as we've kind of discussed before, society has a lot of impact on how the individual perceives whether or not somebody is in their in group or their out group. But one thing that the person individually is in control of is whether or not they fall in one of these three groups that I'm going to talk about next. So the first group that you can choose to be a part of is the segregationist group, which basically means that if you see somebody that is different from you or in your out group, that they are not okay and you want them to be separate from you. So for instance, if we look at colonial America way back when, if a white person saw a black person, they would say, no thank you, you can't be here, and you have to go work outside. But if you bring it all the way forward to the 1950s, for example, they might say, nope, stop, this is my water fountain for the white people, and this is the one for black people. That is the example of a segregationist mindset. So the next mindset that you can choose to have is an assimilationist mindset. Now, this one is usually the sneaky one, and it's hard to determine whether or not you have an assimilationist mindset or not. But basically it means you're okay with other people being different so long as they choose to start acting and looking and talking and dressing like you. So basically they have to start adopting your characteristics in order for you to feel comfortable accepting them into your group. So society does have an impact on your thinking because it's what shapes your experience, but you as the individual have the challenge and the opportunity and the agency or power to choose how you view the rest of the world and everybody else in it. If you don't, it's usually because you're facing what's called a societal construct, which you guys will be making TikToks about tomorrow. So until then, I hope you guys have some extra thoughts knocking around in your noggin, and I will see you all tomorrow in Zoom.